Oh hey everyone, it's your pal John from Good Vibes Gaming, and unfortunately for you, I've got you trapped in a corner, and I'm gonna talk about triangles. You ever look at your Nintendo games and wonder what all those dang triangles are? If you're around 48.9% of our audience, then no, because NTSC boxes don't have them. But if you live elsewhere, you'll be yelling at your screen going, John, please tell me about those triangles! Here's the dealio. People have tried to document these triangles before, but they've made one fatal mistake. They didn't run it by John Cartwright first. Sega Retro, you're a cool resource, I respect your work, but this line right here. These triangles can be found on the spine of the video game box and currently apply to GameCube, Nintendo DS, Wii, Nintendo 3DS, Wii U, and Nintendo Switch software. This is a bunch of baloney. And you know it. You probably don't know it. I'm not sure why I'm being so aggressive about this, they're just triangles. It's true all these systems have little triangles on their boxes, but it actually started much earlier, and it's pretty easy to miss. See, if you look at boxes for older systems, it seems they have no triangle, right? It's not on the front, it's not on the side, it's not on the back, there is no triangle. Also, just a little tangent, our N64 boxes had these giant black borders around the art. They just sort of minimized the art, and then surrounded them in a void. They realized it was lame with later releases and fixed it, but anyway, triangles! You won't find them on the boxes or cartridges for any games predating the GameCube. But what about the manuals? Let's just unbox this and be fairly gentle as not to damage and... It's a triangle! Mole Mania for Game Boy. Triangle. Pilot Wings for Super Nintendo. Triangle. I actually don't have any NES or N64 manuals on hand, so let's go to eBay and steal someone else's. Triangle! So these triangles have existed from the very beginning. Neat! So what the flip are they? To put it very simply, they showcase where the game is meant to be sold. A lot of my shelves are flooded by green triangles, which means they're meant to be shipped to and sold in the UK. Most of these games are still assembled in Germany, so it's a very simple way of them knowing what country they're meant to go to. So why is it so important? Well, you'd think it would be for the game language, but that's actually pretty rare. Most games are multi-language. There are exceptions, but for the most part, it's the packaging. It's the language of the logo, the language on the back of the box, the languages in the manual. But yeah, a standard across Europe is most games are multi-languaged. That's why on Nintendo 64 Online, there's an option to play the games in 50Hz, because those versions have different localizations, like Spanish and French and German and Italian. There are some games with standalone languages on the cartridge, like early Pokemon games, but it's pretty uncommon. For instance, my copy of Dragon Quest IV is French. It's got a pink triangle, and everything from the box to the manual is French. But the game cartridge itself will play in whatever region my DS is set to. So regardless of it being called Dragon Quest, Le Pepe des Loups, was that right? It'll be Chapters of the Chosen because my DS is in English. Daan Koopman was a real babe and sent me Learning with Pokemon Typing Adventure, and because he's from the Netherlands, it has a light blue triangle. The box is entirely in Dutch, but the game itself is multi-language. However, one thing does tie us all together and brings us as one sole entity. A Burgundy triangle. This is for a game with no specific region that can ship to anywhere within Europe. You'll often find them with bundles and special editions. Because they're bundled together with all these knickknacks, it doesn't make sense to make all these different regional versions, and so we all get the same box. That's why despite being in the UK, some of our games have the USK logo. The big honking USK logo. But sometimes the ratings are only on the special edition itself, meaning the game box is empty. And I love this, it's so clean. But with it being set to distribute anywhere, it does mean they put pretty much every language on the box. This Skyward Sword one's just all warning messages. This is one dangerous game. My copies of Okamiden and Sayonara Wild Hearts have a lavender colour, and this seems to largely be the same as Burgundy, being no specific region, but for fewer languages. Strangely, 2 of my Wii games have blue triangles, Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop and Epic Mickey 2. Both feature the BBFC film ratings rather than PEGI, but so do these games, and they've got green triangles, so what is it? What's the deal? Well, it's a very similar blue to that copy of Pokemon from the Netherlands, but the games themselves are entirely in English. Around 93% of people can speak English in that country, so perhaps nothing changed for these copies apart from the triangles. I bought both Axiom Verge and Project Rub in the UK, but they stick out with these big yellow triangles. Apparently a strong yellow means export, whereas a faded one means it's not meant to be sold in the UK, so someone goofed up with Project Rub. I've also got this copy of Last Window with the dark purple, meaning it's German. So while I can keep showing you examples of my games, I am but one British man in a world full of many non-British men and women and people. So I thought I'd reach out to the world and see what their games look like and where they're from. So let's get a big jumble of countries. AtSplatter05 over here is from Italy, and they've got these dark blue triangles and a lovely tropical freeze penguin. @Jan64300120 is from Belgium, and it seems they have a very similar colour scheme to the Netherlands, a darkish blue. We have seen the Netherlands box already, but Mallard Art has given us another preview. Whereas @Nindenzes is from Germany, and they've got these purple triangles. Australia isn't in Europe, but it does count as PAL, and they've got their age ratings on the side of the box. Thanks to the Jungle Gym 02 for sharing that one. Grrm! @SRZXD has some Russian boxes in there. There are a mix of UK ones with the green triangle, but these grey ones are Russia specific. We also have @Rorona Amir, and they're from France, and they've given us another look at the dark pink or reddish triangles. We have @Arthur Sammer, who is from Spain, and there is a sea of pink, but also a sea of yellow. There's actually quite a few variants of yellow, but it seems that this one is most likely a mix of Spanish and Portuguese, whereas the standard pink is just Spanish. It's a different pink to France, a much lighter pink. @Nicolates from Switzerland, and they have triangles very similar to France. It might even be the exact same as France. @AndyMineP's from the Nordics, and they've got this greenish yellow, different to the other yellows shown so far. And @Nick5Cyprus has a very interesting one for us, with this sort of deep purple-black one. This used to be the colour for Greece, but apparently in 2015 the Nortec company shut down, and so the colour was retired. So as you can see on both Pokemon and Majora's Mask here, they've got these very dark triangles. So thank you to everyone who shared their images. I'll put a link to the tweet thread in the description below so you can go through and try and find any regions I may have missed. But there is some overlap. Some countries have a very similar colour or the exact same colour. And before we end, I want to solve a mystery. And by solve, I mean I'm not going to solve it, I'm going to make it more confusing. My biggest question mark is Louvre 3DS. This was sold exclusively at the Louvre in France and isn't multi-language. If you want the English version, you must specifically buy the English version at the gift shop. So what triangle does this have? Let's turn the box. Why is there a grey triangle? We just learned that grey is for Russia. But I don't think a game exclusively sold in France would be Russian. It's produced in Germany. The Mona Lisa can't be described by a simple triangle. I don't know if man will ever truly understand these triangles, but I know that we can come together in unity. Let me know where you're from, and what colour your triangle primarily is, and maybe, just maybe, we can bring humanity forward. This was a very serious video. Thanks for watching, everyone! I've talked about doing a video like this for a while, but I thought no one would be interested. But in our Discord, AndyMineP suggested that I finally do this, and I thought if he's interested, maybe someone else will. So thank you!